Hindenburg also mentioned that the German army was weakened by the revolutionary atmosphere within its own ranks and in the rest of the country. There, the Supreme Commander quotes a British general who had said, "The German army has been stabbed in the back." Thus, the stab-in-the-back theory was born. There are also those who say that the term comes from an expression evoked in the opera Götterdämmerung, which in English means The Twilight of the Gods, presented by Richard Wagner in 1876, in which Hagen assassinates his enemy Siegfried from behind. This is a conspiracy theory which claims that the German army was not defeated on the battlefield, but rather because of the social democratic politicians. According to this postulate, they are the ones who bear the responsibility for signing the ceasefire in order to achieve their goal of seizing power. Despite the fact that the army command made mistakes that caused the German army to be unable to continue fighting, Hindenburg, along with General Erich Ludendorff, spread this conspiracy story so as not to have to admit their own mistakes during the war. At the same time, various far-right nationalist and anti-Semitic groups consider the stab-in-the-back theory to be a consequence of an international Jewish conspiracy. In fact, such fallacious legends were already circulating during the war, casting doubt on the patriotism of German Jews on the battlefield. For this reason, in 1916, the German government conducted a count of Jews in the army. The results showed that there were similar numbers of Jews and non-Jews with equal frequency on the front lines. However, the results of this study were not made public. Both German and international historians unanimously reject the myth. They point out that the German army had run out of reserves and was completely overwhelmed by the entry of the United States into the war. In 1933, when Hitler and the Nazi Party came to power, they made this legend a fundamental part of their official history of the 1920s. They presented the Weimar Republic as the work of the November criminals who had stabbed the nation in the back to seize power. Nazi propaganda exploited this theory to describe them as a quagmire of corruption, degeneration, national humiliation, ruthless persecution of the honest national opposition, 14 years of rule by Jews, Marxists and cultural Bolsheviks, which had finally been swept away by the National Socialist movement under Hitler and the victory of the National Revolution of 1933. The Protocols of Zion sown the poison of anti-Semitism. Returning to the period after World War I, Hitler was walking the streets of Munich and sniffing out the ideal climate of anti-Semitism. The German city had become a hotbed of anti-Jewish sentiment. They were blamed for the actions of the communist Bavarian Soviet Republic. In that context, a publication called The Protocols of the Elders of Zion appeared, translated into German. It is a text written in 1903 that recounts anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. It formulates the idea of a secret group of Jews controlling the world, called the Elders of Zion. The protocols were first published at the beginning of the 20th century in the Russian Empire in Znamia, which means the banner, a St. Petersburg newspaper owned by the prestigious and anti-Semitic writer Pavel Krushchevan. Several scholars are convinced that Krushchevan was the original author of the protocols. When his newspaper published the text, he wrote a prologue and an afterword. The publisher confessed to having discovered a real document that proved the existence of a global Jewish conspiracy. Krushchevan claimed they were minutes from a meeting of the World Union of Freemasons and Elders of Zion. The first publications included 24 chapters and mentioned that these wise elders planned to control world politics, the economy, financial markets, the media, and education. They also claimed that Jews intended to destroy Christianity and the rest of the world's religions. They also mentioned that Jews would benefit from keeping the world in a state of war. As supposed proof, Krushchevan cited the emerging Zionist movement, which advocated for an independent Jewish state in the ancient Jewish homeland. Some have claimed that the protocols are actually the minutes of the first Zionist Congress held in Basel, Switzerland in 1897, a claim that has since been proven false. In 1905, the protocols were published as an appendix to a book about the coming of the Antichrist. This book was written by Sergius Nilus, an anti-Semitic Russian mystic who claimed that Jews were agents of satanic forces seeking to destroy the world. Meanwhile, Hitler rejoiced in his gradually fulfilled wish that both Germany and the entire world would see Jews the same way he did. Following the Bolshevik Revolution of 1917, the protocols of the Elders of Zion began to circulate more frequently. That same year, the Russian Tsar abdicated the throne amid a popular uprising. Protesters demanded food due to increasing poverty. After a few months, the Bolshevik Party, later known as the Communist Party, staged a coup. The systematic fear of communist revolutions spreading throughout Europe reinforced one of the main anti-Semitic conspiracy theories contained in the protocols. The Jews were responsible for communism and for plotting this revolution.